Nowadays, there are a huge number of hockey simulators out there, and we got curious which one is actually the hardest in single-player mode. And the first simulator in our series will be
NHL 2004.
a true legend with a massive community. This is the HCA team, and we're starting.
Welcome to HC Arena.
So, for this challenge I chose the demo version of NHL 2004. I do have the full version of the game, but right now it has various mods and patches installed and I didn't want to uninstall all of that. Only 2 teams are available here, just a quick exhibition game, which is exactly what we need. And for a challenge this version is basically more than enough. We select difficult difficulty, as our challenge demands, and we turn all gameplay sliders down to 0. Now, some of these settings might actually work the other way, lowering them could sometimes help you, but since we decided to put everything to 0, 0 it is. Generally, when we drag the sliders all the way to the left, we're making things harder for ourselves, and you're about to see that firsthand. I've already played 3 matches, as you should, to get a feel for the gameplay. And small spoiler, I lost all 3 of them. My best result was a loss in overtime, so I'm not exactly optimistic about this. We'll be playing as Anaheim. These 2 teams are featured in the demo because they were the Stanley Cup finalists back in 2003. If you remember, the New Jersey Devils won that year. So we'll try to stage a rematch. I have no idea how that's going to go, given the settings we've chosen. Alright, let's do this. So, here we have our intro screen. We're not going to watch it, that's not the point of this video. We also need to set up the rules, because they're turned off by default. We'll be playing by the rules that existed back in the day. Besides offside and icing, there was also the so-called 2-line offside pass. We'll turn that on. Injuries, let's keep them on. Hero mode, we're not going to enable that, because it's more of a crutch than an extra challenge. And besides, in hero mode, during the last few minutes of the match, your players get a noticeable boost, and we don't want that. So, everything is set and good to go here. Shot aim and line changes are here too. We're all good here too. Camera is set to classic, always facing down. Everything's ready. Alright, let's get started. The only problem with the demo is that I don't have access to proper tactical or strategic settings. This setting would have been a huge help, but that only makes the challenge more exciting. Given the difficulty in these settings, I really should have gone with a more conservative approach. Oops, I forgot to switch the keyboard layout. So, as I was saying, it's a shame the demo doesn't let you choose tactics, because look at how the computer is pressing me. Honestly, it feels like the settings I lowered are only affecting my players. The AI skaters are just as fast and aggressive as before. Look at how many shots the computer is taking. I don't know, Gigur played really well in the previous 3 matches, so hopefully he won't let us down. He's been solid so far. And that was a great shot by Fedorov, by the way. But overall, this game has a couple of tricks. Oh, and by the way, that's the 2-line offside pass right there. The first trick is how to score easy goals. Basically, you can just skate into the offensive zone and shoot from the blue line. And more often than not, even elite goalies like Martin Brodeur can let one in. So, like I said, my best result was a loss in overtime. The final score was 2-1 for the opponent. And even then, the computer managed to score 1 goal in the middle of the game, and then I heroically tied it up at the end. And then in overtime, well, I ended up letting 1 in. In general, on this difficulty with these settings, you're not going to see many goals. Here we are, trying to come up with something. Bilesma takes a shot and there it is, that's the first trick right there. Bylsma shot from the blue line, hit the post, could have been a goal. That's what happens when all the sliders are at zero even the speed, so a pass turns into an icing call. A lot of people, by the way, love NHL 2004 because of its balanced gameplay, which feels more realistic. Well, I wouldn't quite agree. The goalies act a bit weird, letting in some really strange goals. And there we go, our first penalty. We're going to be shorthanded. And this could get dangerous. We need to clear the puck out of the zone. Normally, with default settings, I try not to do that because the game is pretty arcadey, and you can even score shorthanded goals sometimes. But with these settings, it's better not to mess around. Better to play it safe, just like in real hockey when you're shorthanded, just clear the puck out of the zone. By the way, the in-game tips actually say that the more shots you take, the higher your chances of scoring. Apparently, the goalie gets tired and might eventually let in a completely unexpected goal, one of those goals that are on the goalie, as they say. So, you really don't want to let the opponent shoot too much. And most importantly, you need to shoot as much as possible yourself. And that's the trick. I don't know how realistic that is, but for some reason, a lot of PC hockey fans really love this particular version. In general, for its time, it's a solid hockey game. I think many reviewers who covered this game have said the same. It was even somewhat of a revolutionary step in hockey gaming on PC. And not just on PC, because NHL 2003 was already feeling pretty dated by then. Here's another thing, look, the passing is just terrible here. Passing is really difficult in NHL 2004. To actually get the puck to your teammate, he basically has to be standing in a specific spot on the ice. Otherwise, your team loses possession. Fedorov with the puck. Players like him, you've got to try and score with them. That was a nice rush by the defenseman. But oh, offside here. Back in those days, offside wasn't delayed yet, so the whistle went right away. Well, when it comes to goalies, the game is definitely less realistic compared to modern NHL titles. And not just modern ones, actually even the versions on PS3 and Xbox 360 already had better goalie AI. So you can no longer just casually skate around the ice with your goalie and have nobody take the puck away from him. A notable feature of this game, by the way, is that it has two types of passes. The shot is assigned to a single button, but the pass can be performed in two different ways, a regular pass along the ice, and a pass with a lift, a saucer pass. And not only did the developers add this option, but it also proves to be really helpful. When there's heavy traffic in front of the net, and you need to get the puck through without the opponent intercepting it, that's exactly when you want to use these lifted passes to move the puck around. In later versions, this feature was removed. Instead, they introduced multiple shot types, slapshot and snapshot on separate buttons, but the pass was reduced to a single button. And from then on, the game would essentially decide for you whether to pass high or low. You know, when I was a kid playing this game, for some reason I always thought the AI was cheating in its own favor. Maybe there's some truth to that. Or maybe it was just because I wasn't that experienced back then. I kept losing, so it felt like the computer was giving itself an unfair advantage. There are a ton of mods available for this game, and they're still being released to this day. If you're interested in seeing a review of the full version of NHL 2004, what modes and features it has, let me know in the comments. I can also take a look at some of the mods. There have been many of them released over the years, retro ones, modern ones, you name it. As for today's match, honestly, the only interesting part is probably me talking. The hockey itself is just terrible. But again, the goal is to see how the game behaves on the absolute minimum settings with a high difficulty level. And from there, we can use that as a baseline and gradually tweak things to make it more enjoyable, to find that sweet spot where it's still challenging, but at least something interesting actually happens on the ice. Look at how fast the opponent is skating here. He just blew past my defender like he was standing still. And this is even though the settings are supposedly applied to both me and the computer. Well, you can tell I'm starting to get a feel for the game, because the very first match, I think I lost 4-0. That was really bad. Now I've adjusted a bit. And that's why the score in this game is what it is. I can't score at all, but at least I'm doing something on defense. If I had at least the default settings right now, I'd be winning comfortably. The score would be completely different. But as it stands, it's looking like another overtime. Let's try a final push before overtime, maybe we can pull off a win. That was a good attack. But yeah, looks like it's going to overtime after all. Alright, here we go, overtime, first goal wins. By the way, I was curious about how mod developers handle the modern rules when they release updates for this game. For example, offside is now delayed, but back then it wasn't. And it turns out that the hockey rules in these new mods just stay the same as the old ones. That's dangerous in our zone. Oh no, I lost. Should have expected it, honestly. Final score, 1-0 in overtime. Let's check the stats. So, shots on goal, 23-39. Hits, 4-16. Faceoffs, 20-5 in my favor. Passing percentage is about the same. And we've got more penalty minutes. So, what can I say? Basically, if you tweak some of the settings, maybe bump up the speed and acceleration a bit, reduce fatigue, you could end up with a pretty challenging gameplay experience. You can see, I lost. But again, this was just an exhibition match. In a season or dynasty mode, the AI actually plays stronger. For our first video in this series, we ended up with this result, playing NHL 2004 on the absolute minimum gameplay settings with the highest difficulty. I lost. In the next episode you'll see another game, another simulator, just as iconic. Guess which one, write your guess in the comments. And let us know how you like this challenge, how objective do you think it is? Maybe we should try some other types of experiments. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, it helps us put out new videos faster. That's it for now, see you soon. This has been the HCA team.